Well, hello peeps, we are continuing the series on how to get your elite transmog by reaching 1800 in the solo shuffle. This time we got the BM Hunter, the spec I got back into the game with, back in BFA. As usual, I will go over all the necessary steps you can take to accomplish this goal, and going over all the things you can do before even stepping into the arena, with gameplay tips and solo shuffle around analysis. I usually separate these in parts, but for the Hunter playstyle I think a longer video was needed. I have done this climb in the peak of the Light's Vengeance, and the Light had no mercy for us hunters, so I hope you enjoy. First things first, you want to reach level 70 and start farming out your honor gear, and it's time to hit the BGs. Or is it? At this point, a lot of the PvP currency is transferable to some degree. So if you have a main, of course send the conquest boxes, medals of honor for the easy gear acquisition. If it's the first character you're playing on this season, then do your weekly PvP and world PvP quests for the first bit of conquest and trophies of strife to buy higher item level PvP gear. I usually wouldn't make recommendations for gearing, as I think how you spend your conquest is a personal preference, but I would get the shoulders and the head first and turn them into the tier set. I would then be looking into finishing your offset and only after that finishing the foreset. This is to avoid playing with very low versatility. There is one stat priority that I see, and that's Versa Mastery Haste Crit. Not much to say there, Mastery is a flat increase to your pet's damage and will make them eat your enemies. Haste is a bit better than crit, but having a balance is best. I see some people also running more haste than mastery, but most are running mastery overall. As far as crafted items are considered, boots are best in slot as usual. At this point you can simply send the primal chaos from your main, so this should be something you can acquire instantly. The unnecessary would be the crafted ring to get both rings in mastery and higher item level. I personally just ran the honor ring beside the conquest ring to optimize my stats. Or you can run double conquest, as all stats are good on you. As far as builds are considered, there is one main build that I see used. I have seen some slight variations and an RBG build, but this one will be the most, the one that most people are running. Now for a little talent overview of like the most important talents, or the talents you should keep track of. Bestial Rat gets reduced by Barbed Shot. In general, you should just go and read all of these talents so you know like what's up. Stomp you should take care because you could Barb Shot and then basically get somebody out of a trap or a scatter shot, so you can break your own CC with Stomp, so it's something that you should take note of. And other than that, there's like one choice node that I've seen people use Brutal Companion over Dire Beast, but most I've seen use Dire Beast, and I've used Dire Beast just for the guaranteed Dire Beast over like you having to proc it with Dire Command, which is a 30% chance when you kill command to get a Dire Beast for 10 seconds. So overall, there's not much things to move around, there's not much like, how would I say, versatility, but you should just read all of these to make sure you understand what talents you're taking and what each talent basically does. Now when you come to the Hunter side, on the Hunter side it's kind of similar. As far as BM, there's not like much variety. All of this on the bottom you need this, you need basically all of these talents are good and you need. There's no way of you going into this side, and it wouldn't be beneficial anyways. You have 2 points here, I guess, that you can move around, and you have 2 points here that you could move around, I guess, when you... Because there's situations where, like, your pet is getting rotted by a warlock or stuff like that, that this could be, like, dispelling stuff that you don't want to be dispelled, or getting feared from the priest dispel, or getting knocked up from the shaman dispel, so... There is, like, moments where you would want to take this off. I just never had to take it off because I was playing versus, like, mostly red paladins, basically. As far as PvP talents are considered, there is, as always, Hunters kind of shine here. I feel like they have a really good variety of good talents. I just feel very bad that, like, you have these talents, Dire Beast Hawk. Well, Dire Beast Hawk was always kind of mech, but Dire Beast Basilisk used to actually do quite a bit of damage. So I'm quite a bit, how would you say, sad that I can't really use this to do some extra damage to melees. Like, this is not useful anymore. Other than that, it's just something like this is gonna be your baseline, as always. Survival Tactics, Roar of Sacrifice. I would never take this off. Roar of Sacrifice you only take off when you're playing against classes that don't care about crits, but other than that, all of these I would just take always. Chimeral's thing you can change for a few different things, like Beast Within is actually really good if you're playing versus Shadow Priests, but it's also one of, I think, your only really DPS increase PvP talent. So if you just want a basic DPS increase talent, I would just run like this kind of setup. Other than that, kind of tranquilizing shots, great as always to remove beneficial magical effects and reduce the duration, really good versus evokers, and really good versus restoration healers. Resto druids, I mean. Wild Kingdom, I almost never had a situation where I had to do this, so I never ran this. Again, niche, but can be used. Kindred Beast, I actually ran this quite a bit versus Frost Mages. So this is kind of, I would say, niche, but not niche as well, because anytime there's a lot of AR roots going around, I would run this. I would take this. And Diamond Eyes, so of course, is always like Diamond Eyes, just really good if your trap is getting broken, if either your teammate is breaking your trap or you're playing versus a team where you want to actually trap the DPS, so if some DPS is giving you like extreme trouble. Now we come to the most important part in my opinion, which is training yourself for PvP. The basics of it being your sustain and burst rotations. You'll do this by spending some time with my best friend, the target dummy. It might sound silly to you, but the most important thing is to make your damage come out without thinking about it. Unlike the other hunter specs, you can play it in a more PvE-like fashion, as the rotation is quite easy, so it shouldn't be as challenging as SV and MM. So let's start with a sustained damage rotation. With BM, it's all about the frenzy stacks, making your pet do big damage. You want to make sure you never cap on barbed shot or never lose frenzy stacks. So react to your barbed shot procs or otherwise use it as the buff is ending. Other than that, it's simple kill command into kill shot into cobra shot priority, with of course barbed shot upkeep being the highest priority. Moving on to what an opener would look like to this BM rotation utilizing Bestial Rat. You will be basically using Bestial Rat on cooldown, other than the situations where you're waiting for cooldowns to come up. Again, all the same rules apply from the sustained rotation, just that you want to use both your barbed shots if you can before you Bestial Rat. Moving on to the full burst rotation. Now this is actually a bit annoying since there is so many CDs on the global cooldown and you won't really be able to do it if it's, let's say, you're going for a stun trap early in the round. You can see the exact ability order on the add-on in the right lower corner. It took me a bit of figuring out the best way to burst. I was originally doing it the PvE opener as the burst, but cutting down those 1 to 2 globals will produce more burst damage, especially if you get Dire Beast procs. Now let's go over a simulation or two, as Hunter PvP is rarely just hitting a target dummy. Again, these stun trap plays at the start of the match are not as good on BM as on other Hunter specs, because of the BM's burst just needing too many globals. It doesn't mean you shouldn't ever do it, just that this option is weaker on BM than other Hunter specs. Now we come to the tips and tricks portion of this video. And as usual, a few thoughts on the spec first. BM is honestly a great class, and its simplicity makes it so you can take it slow or fast. The fact you are 100% mobile felt so refreshing after playing MM, both from a defensive and an offensive point of view. The only thing I can complain about is that compared to MM and SV, BM lacks instant burst, making it a stun trap opener a bit weaker. On the other hand, it feels really good to be able to do 100% of your damage while being trained and 100% of your damage from range. The core skill of any hunter spec remains to be positioning, learning to make yourself a bad target versus double melee, making them zag to their deaths. Versus range, do you position yourself more in the back so you can react better to your healer getting CC'd or prevent it? Or do you position yourself more forward, being able to go for CC on the opposing healer and easier to follow up damage? Unfortunately, this will take some time to learn, as it's one of those game sense things, with many different factors affecting your choices. The only hindrance can be annoying classes like DK and Ret. Rets are getting gutted, so they are not as terrifying, but still enable other melee specs. DKs are getting buffed and might be more than just annoying. They are also a problem because of how they enable kill windows on you. Learn to use your defensives, which defensive you need to commit for which CD. Again, this will take some experience, while you can get away with using Roar of Sacrifice versus Fire Mages. Combustion simply, other burst cooldowns might need you to use multiple ones or different ones. Like for a warrior, Spear of Bastion, where you could use a wall plus Roar of Sacrifice. Roar of Sacrifice and a BM trinket. Or have your healer do something for you plus Roar of Sacrifice. Again, these will depend on the situation, what you're facing, what spec is your healer. Example, if your healer is a Disco Priest, most likely they will commit Pain Suppression right away, meaning you can get away with not even using a personal cooldown. Learning when you have to use deterrents, when it's best to simply commit it and save other cooldowns. Example, if you're getting heavily bursted and your healer is CC'd, then trying to save yourself with other defensives is futile. So the safe option is just to deter and save your HP and other cooldowns. As far as pet management is considered, it's very important that you pay attention to its status. It's something like 90% of your damage is tied to the pets. so it's very important to keep them alive, and even more on the other specs of Hunter. Pull your pets back if you're expecting CC, like a Ring of Frost. You naturally will have an easier time fitting in meant pets, so I found on BM it's very rare that your pets die. You naturally will have an easier time fitting meant pet into your rotation, so I found on BM it's very rare that your pets die. I had it happen only once, so your pet dying is not a huge concern if you're using meant pet. Other than that, just make sure it's attacking the right target and you're Gucci. It's all about the CC, both offensively and defensively. You will set up a majority of your wins with a stun trap on the healer. This is also how you will get the most amount of pressure in a round. You will also defend yourself and your teammates baseline with your CC, not counting defensive cooldowns. There's also different combos for accomplishing these, like intimidation stun or binding stun into trap, a Kobe trap, a scatter shot into trap. Chimerial sting can also be added somewhere there. For defense, binding shot into tar trap into steel trap, scatter shot into steel trap, etc. Many different combos you can employ, or just single your CC on a burst cooldown. The most frustrating thing that can happen to a hunter is your CC being broken. But in solo shuffle you should expect, if you see a certain individual is breaking your CC, maybe picking up Diamond Ice is a choice, or just not trying to trap or scatter the healer. Here we're just gonna commentate on the match. I unfortunately didn't have as much gameplay footage for this mastery as I had for other specs, so I did play this match while I was also talking about the tips. I also did not want to make this video way too long, like over 25 minutes, so it's a pain to edit, pain to upload, pain to everything. Here I start off with the CC on the healer. In a kind of a game like this, I would actually recommend starting off more in a PvE-like fashion, just starting off getting your frenzy stacks up and stuff like that, and then going for CC. It's just kind of hard as well to go for stun into trap versus 3 shamans, since all 3 can just grounding totem for each other, so it's just an unfortunate situation. I mean, it's just soul shuffle. Here we're going for enhancement, although I would think elemental is a little bit better target. Here I'm just trying to just kite away from the damage from both the enhance and the elemental. I think I'm doing a very good job by using these pillars here. I think this map is also really good for range. Just has these kind of, I guess, fatty pillars, and there's like a close to each other, so you can like run from a pillar to a pillar. Here I'm pumping elemental because I think it's a better target myself. Here I should have been kiting away, or should have, sorry, aligning the damage and then looking for like a trap on the what's it called, enhancement behind the pillar. I unfortunately also had to turtle there to get my pet up. It's like, I think, yeah, the one game that my pet died. Maybe like it happened one more time ever. Because like generally speaking, meant pet is something you should like, can be added into your rotation. You won't have free, how do you say, you won't have a global always. Just pumping here who I can, well, because I'm getting targeted kind of. We do get the elemental here. Here probably me and elemental are just gonna be, sorry, elemental is gonna be cleaving, and I'm just gonna be targeting most likely the enhancement. Especially kind of better target right now. I do go for a stun trap play because unfortunately, sorry, I think my shaman actually broke the trap there. What the hell? But yeah, I do go for a stun trap on the healer because they went behind the pillar, so you should go for stun traps like those in the opening. Usually in the opener I wouldn't, because it's much better if you just ramp up your damage and then you go for a stun trap. I feel like that's a lot more powerful usually, on BM specifically. On MM as well it can be good, but like on SV I would, yeah, always go for a stun trap. Here I was looking to get the stun into a trap. or sorry, a scatter into a trap. We're pumping the enhance. The elemental, I'm guessing, is just gonna be cleaving. Well, most likely targeting the same target right now as me. Here I use my turtle, like what the hell? And I probably was trying to click something else. I misclicked it. Here I just revive a pet like an absolute Chad in front of like 2 shamans. Like an absolute Chad in front of 2 shamans in line of sight. Like that should have not been allowed. Scatter shot on Tupala with wings. Give elemental shaman some time to get away. Here I was trying to purge off Bop. I do get Bop off. Nice. I'm pretty sure the shaman helped as well. Just pumping. The trap does not work out, unfortunately. Here I think shaman is pumping the paladin. Actually gets paladin's bubble. I think if the shaman actually focused the shaman with me, we would have actually gotten a kill there on the shaman, but the shaman, yeah, unfortunately he blew his burst onto the retribution randomly instead of focusing with me. That was unfortunate. Here most likely we're gonna be focusing the elemental shaman. Although retribution is always an option if retribution overextends. Here I'm just opening in kind of a PvE style, as I call it. Because the nullifying shroud is up, so there's no point in me trying to do any kind of fancy stuff here. Or using cooldowns or anything like that. Just do some DPS, get my frenzy stacks up, so I'm doing good damage once the fighting is actually up. Here I think I was trying to do for something weird and I end up losing all my frenzy, failing my burst and everything. The derp moment. Here I should be looking to get some CC going onto the healer. I don't know why I'm not. Still not. We do get bubble though, which is very nice. Again, I should be looking for that CC window right now. I go for it. Unfortunately, it gets grounded. Unfortunately, damn. Sorry, I was holding up burp there. Just pumping elemental. Even though at this point we could do like a swap on retribution, because no bubble, so it's an option definitely. Go for a little scatter shot, and we do win the game off of that. Here probably gonna be pumping elemental, although enhancement is of course an option just because it's not like super tanky. Although for some reason enhancement has been feeling a lot tankier to me, even though on papers most things usually like you seem like nerfs to healing and stuff. I'm kind of worried about like the changes coming. I'm just pumping elemental, go for a stun because lining the healer. Here I get throw of sacrifice onto my paladin. Make sure I'm not getting nuked absolutely. I go for a nice little combo CC here, following up with paladin's CC. Again, just keeping myself safe. Elemental, as you see, elemental is trying to like swaps onto me, but I'm just trying to be in a position where that's not something possible. How would you say? Static totem, that kind of static totem was a little bit random, I would say. We get another stun into trap. Although I think the trap was the yard. I think it's my stun. We're doing some good pressure here, good pressure. Unfortunately, nothing but for me to do right now. There are no cooldowns that I have. I should maybe be looking for a trap right now at this moment, but before that there was nothing for me to do. I'll go for a scatter into a trap here. Not really optimal. It does get Emerald Communion though, actually, so it did have a good part to it. And I think unfortunately here the Paladin is gonna get bursted. The Elemental got damage up and got to bring it back to the table. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little video. Like, comment, subscribe, all those things the YouTubers want you to do, and have a nice day!